have that. Ready?
Yeah.
Start it off here.
All righty. Well, everybody, thanks for attending. We do have quorum, so we'll get this meeting, our August Parks and Recreation Commission meeting going. Start off with a roll call and start here. First, since that's me, I'm here, Commissioner Kerr. Here. Commissioner Frazier. Here. Commissioner Diaz.
Here.
And we have Commissioner Lamberson.
Yeah.
Commissioner Christensen is not.
Absent today.
Okay. And Commissioner Stackhouse.
Here.
Wait now.
You're him.
While she adjusts that, I'll go ahead and read the land acknowledgement. The Flagstaff Parks and Recreation Commission humbly acknowledges the ancestral homelands of this area's indigenous nations and original stewards. These lands, still inhabited by native descendants, hold their mountains sacred to indigenous peoples. We honor them, their legacies, their traditions, and their continued contributions. We celebrate the past, present, and future generations who will forever know this place as home. Now, we'll move on to the approval of the July 21st, 2025 minutes. Those are included in packets, so hope you use those. Those we were here last time. Any comments on those at this time? Not, everything will find you, and we can take a motion to approve those minutes. One would like to offer up that.
Make a motion.
Commissioner Frazier offers a motion to approve. And we need a second.
I'll second.
Commissioner Kerr seconds that. All in favor of approving those minutes, say aye. All against, say nay. Any nays, so we'll go ahead and recommend approving those meeting minutes. Awesome. And on to our discussion items. Up front, which I just drove by, are those sport courts at Bushmaster Park. Okay.
Well, let me stop sharing this agenda and I'm gonna try to pull up the video and hopefully I can share it. So I wanted to give an update to the commission on the status of the sport court. Let's see if sharing this video actually works. It may. Okay, so this was, if some of the commissioners recall, on May 6th was the evening at City Council that the capital project was approved by City Council. The very next day, May 7th, we started construction activities. This is a video from a drone show, not drone show, good grief, a drone video of pre-construction performed in partnership with our IT department. So this will give an idea of what the existing conditions were for any of our commissioners that had not. It might be like a little glitchy and kind of bounce around a little bit. So that's where we had 2 existing tennis courts, 2 existing basketball courts, both for dual striped, creating 8 pickleball courts there with dedicated pickleball court hours that were every day of the week, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. for pickleball play, and then return to tennis and or basketball play. And the existing courts were lighted as well. So this is before we've even set up construction fencing. This was a couple days, again, 2 days after the project had been approved by City Council. So it gives kind of an idea of what the space looks like. Everybody feel warm and fuzzy about that? Okay. Then let me go grab. So then in working with our IT and GIS department, trying to do at certain intervals, some additional drone show, some additional drone footage. You can see where my mind is, huh? Of the project. So this is that exact same space. This is with post-tension cabling installed. So the underneath of that, so no cement had been poured yet to this date. There's the skate park. This is now the 2 tennis courts, 2 basketball courts, and 8 pickleball courts. So this is the what's called AB, or like the grading activities had occurred by this time. The pads had been built. The AB was down on the actual courts, and the post-tension cables were down on 3 of the 4 sport court areas. This footage was taken, I'll pull the date off of it here in a second, on July 24th. Literally a few days later, we've poured all concrete. So all of the cement trucks have come in. We've pumped all 4 courts. And that's in its carrying period. And now we've pivoted and are working on the electrical, because all these courts will be lighted as well, just like the previous courts were. So it gives an idea of kind of the space that is under construction on site. Bushmaster Park itself is 20 acres in size, and this is a construction site of roughly just a touch over 1 acre. We'll play that bad boy again. I want to see it again. So again, around the perimeter of the construction site itself, there's construction fencing up. The contractor has an ingress, egress, and access point. And they've got some space that is also blocked off for, I mean, you can see some stockpile of some materials right there. You can see some equipment on site. They have tree resource protection or protection of trees up. And are really keeping a very clean site. I think that was the largest thing I wanted to articulate.
Point out which court is which, what's the pickleball courts and what is the,
I can, absolutely. So what you're looking at here on the screen, and for the virtual world, hopefully you can see my cursor. Right here will be, that was where 2 tennis courts used to be located. That will be 6 of the 8 pickleball courts there. And then just directly right here, those are 2 pickleball courts. So that makes the 8 total. Then pivoting back down here where my cursor is, that will be 2 tennis courts. And then over here, that in this image do not have the post tension cables yet installed at that time, are the 2 basketball courts. And you'll see there's a lot of space in between them. So there's a lot of opportunity for landscaping, for what are called LAD basins, or for stormwater, for that detention of any rainwater or snow melt that occur. I see a question. Yeah, go
So
ahead.
they don't plan on reestablishing the sidewalk that used to go through there, or would they do that and then also on top of it?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So there's actually down this central part here where you see some of this equipment. That is almost like a central spine, if you will, with access points to all 4 court areas. And then there's also sidewalk that will be going through here. There's sidewalk to the north that wraps around that borders right there. That's a start of the Bushmaster Bark Park. And then you can see the skate park to the north. So all of that's the work that's occurring now. Is there's all the digging and trenching for the electrical work, for the irrigation, and then for the site work, the sidewalks, the concrete concourses, all of that. That's occurring right now. We really wanted all 4 court areas to integrate with each other. And to have similar access points and to all be 100% accessible too.
are they all at the same level or is there an elevation change?
For the most part, like to the naked eye, they would be pretty much at the same level. However, they all, for proper runoff, they all slope starting up here at this, which would be like the northeastern corner, they all slope a little bit toward the south, or I'm sorry, that'd be the northwest corner toward the southeast, and have the proper grade to spill into some of these LID basins to help move the water through the site. They're significantly elevated compared to what used to exist, but almost 4 feet up. Some of the other design items that occurred here are, if you see the top of this really large tree right here, that is a very large caliper tree. The root system for that was uh, right up against that former basketball court. That's what was causing significant cracking there. This new court's been shifted to the north 16 feet to get out of that root system so that we're not repeating some of the same mistakes with some of this old growth. And again, you can see some of the protection of some of the other pine trees in the area, because a part of our commitment to the community and to city council were every single tree that was removed, a new tree is replaced. But what is wise is not to replace with the exact same species. This 20-acre park, 90% of it is ponderosa pine, 1 or 2 alligator pine, and then a few autumn maple blaze in near some of our parking lots. We really are going to shake this up and get some different tree species in the area for best health. Because you'll see there's a lot, and if you go out to the park now, you'll see a lot of trees bunched together, and that's not a healthy format either. There'll be, I believe, 21 trees were removed for the project, so 21 new trees go in, and then there are 76 shrubs just kind of in this T area that you can see that's dirt right there on the screen. So a significant amount of landscaping is going into this space too.
Why elevated 4 feet? I don't know if I caught that.
Flood.
Okay.
To get some of it, some of the sidewalks leading to the area were not accessible leading up to it. So to ensure that there's full accessibility from all of those sides.
Cool. Thanks.
What else?
What's the next steps then? What's the general schedule?
Sure.
Completion date and all that?
So right after the Labor Day holiday will be the end of the cure period for the actual concrete pads that have been poured. So then we'll start scheduling the coatings of them. And again, right now, electrician is working on all the underground conduit and the lighting and the large bases of which the light poles are installed in. So that's the main focus right now. And again, then the contractor will pivot to the epoxy coatings come September. And then after that, we'll pivot to the landscape and finishing the site work on those concrete walkways.
Are there any, sorry,
No, go ahead.
are there any plans to do lighting updates to the other parts of the park? Just because they are a little dim. I feel like they could use some updating as.
Pedestrian lighting.
Yeah.
So the pedestrian lighting, no plans to update those. Other amenities that are lit would be the outdoor roller rink has just pedestrian lighting on it, not like sport court lighting or activity lighting that way. And no intentions to upgrade that just yet. That could be a future project, who knows? But yeah, the pedestrian lighting that kind of goes throughout the park. It's a mixture of both City of Flagstaff owned and operated lighting and APS lighting too.
Nice. It'd be good to have a well-lit place to skate. I know I end up going to NU campus a lot of the time because the only place I can avoid cars and have good lighting. So it'd be nice to be able to use Bushmaster.
Yeah.
Will there be any kind of benches or bleachers or anything, opportunities for viewing?
Furnishings that way. We currently do not have designed or involved in this project or funding for additional furnishings. Does not mean it cannot happen in the future. or even fundraising by specific user groups if the Flagstaff Tennis Association or the Flagstaff Pickleball Association, and there's not an association that we're aware of for basketball, but there certainly could be fundraising opportunities with those groups. Some of them have done some other similar things like that at some other sport court areas. Good question.
One does not just watch pickleball.
You know, but when they have,
Play pickleball.
when they have tournaments, and I assume that their interest to have tournaments here eventually is, you know, they want that, some bleacher seating, so.
They may, in talking to the current leadership group at the Flagstaff Pickleball Association, they think they might be interested in hosting 4 tournaments per year, of which in order to use the tennis and basketball courts, they would have to pull a permit. They're not available for use for pickleball outside of that at all. The pickleball has 8 dedicated courts, 2 dedicated tennis, 2 dedicated basketball. So that's what they seem to think. I don't know if they know that for sure yet or not. But a part of pulling or applying for that permit would be, it falls into that realm, excuse me, of more of that special event permit, because there's impacts then to the parking lots at this park and other aspects at this park if wanting to use it for a specific tournament. So that will, those details will all need to be included in that.
You guys just assume that they're fenced, right?
Good question. So the 6 total, or sorry, 8 total pickleball courts have 8-foot tall fencing. And then the divider fencing in between the courts themselves. Tennis has 10-foot tall fencing. That's the minimum required, or otherwise you can go up to 12. Basketball, no fencing. And reason being is not required, and it's not adjacent to a roadway or even a parking lot where someone's ball will flow into traffic or into parked or any vehicular activity. What we are doing, see if it will let me do this. Because these courts are, see if it'll pivot around, maybe not. Maybe because these courts are roughly built up a little bit higher in elevation. Stop right there. Along this southern edge of the basketball court and some of this eastern edge will be just, it's similar to the foots railing you may see around town, where it's the 2-inch by 2-inch steel, sometimes placed at an angle. And what we're doing is a decorative mesh as far as like the insert on your kind of profile view. That way someone's ball isn't just rolling down a hill and going down to the undeveloped part of the park. So trying to help aspect there that way, because up here adjacent to the pickleball courts and the tennis courts, it's an even plane. So I don't expect the ball just to roll away very easily with some landscaping. So it is going down on that edge. So it's going to be, I think, an opportunity also to incorporate, whether if it's any type of decorative plaque or informative plaque, that this was a BBB special revenue funded capital project, or possibly incorporate even some rules that this is a basketball, these are basketball courts, things like that, without having that perimeter fencing around it. But the others do.
I know that there had been discussion about like a community garden. That's not part of this project, but it is part of the like evolution of Bushmaster. Yeah.
So there is an orchard on site. It's just actually to the east of these courts. That was installed, I believe, last August the 24th. That exists today. That was a beautification and action grant project with a group. So that is there. That exists, that's there, thriving, doing well. There's fruit trees and there may be a desire and that there's still additional space if the community wanted to do a community garden. The community still has not come forward with that.
I know about the community garden that's near Bushmaster, but in Sunnyside. There,
The Isabel Street Garden,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Have you heard anything more from any of the neighbors, especially to the south? That were still up in arms initially, that, have they been contacting you with any concern?
It's been, ironically, there was someone just today who emailed to city council some audio type videos of, or at least MP3 files of the noise on the roller rink where pickleball's temporarily playing right now, and they're concerned with the future noise of these courts. And then there's also been complaints regarding the construction activities, especially with one ingress egress point there at the south side of the park. Outside of that, there haven't been consistent complaints. But we're ensuring that we're replying to those complaints when they're coming in and keeping track of them. It still will be a future discussion item with city council about noise mitigation at these courts. It was brought forward by Councilmember Spence and uh, with interest from at least greater than 2 other council members. Don't know when the date of that meeting is yet. I don't believe that that's been established, but and it wasn't in an effort to stop this capital project. Instead, it was what can be done after the construction of this project, and is there positive movement from city council toward investigating something like that? Possibly, who knows, or whatever, and I do think it's a good idea to visit post-construction because then landscaping's in. These courts are at a different elevation than what they were before. What changes does that create? Just from the pickleball sport itself, and the pickleball sport itself is in the most centrally located spot with the other sport court activities to the south of it. So who knows? But yeah, that will be a future discussion at some point in time. As soon as that date is known, I can let the commission know too. Yeah, it's moving along. We're hoping to be done and out of there by end of October, early November, complete, which would be great to open this back up to the community.
Fast. It's looking good, Amy.
Yeah, super fast.
Anyone else have any comments or questions they'd like to ask?
I was hoping video would be a good way to try to show the commission on how things are going there.
All right, well, thank you, Amy. That was very informative. Like seeing that and the progress being made out there. Very good. We only have one other discussion item, and that's the review of a 5-year capital plan.
So that's me again, and this may become a heftier discussion than just what the title says. So have a brief presentation, but we'll sit on some of these items, I think, for a little while to absorb them. Okay. Some commissioners were here roughly about 3 to 4 years ago, well, let me back up even further than that. I believe in 2018, the Parks and Recreation Commission at that time, we went through a strategic planning process where it was taking a look at, and at that point in time, we did not have a 5-year capital plan either. But hey, commission, here's the capital we have. What would be the most strategic project to attempt to accomplish? And at that time, I mean, think that was 7 years ago, it was a new neighborhood park on the west side of town. So that became kind of our highest impact in delivering a new park to the community, because the previous park since that was in 2003, Fox Glen Park. And there's also known vacancies on that side of our town if you were to put it, whether if you do it in quadrants or slivers without neighborhood level parks or any level park, honestly. So that became the commission's highest priority at that time. That park itself, for a while, you can review in documents for commissioners who are not here, that was called West Side Park. Then it became Highland Mesa Park, of which we have a concept design for by working with the community and doing neighborhood outreach to find out community, what would you like, neighborhood, what would you like in your park? So that was kind of its own standalone strategic planning process. Then in, I believe it was 2022, we went through a prioritization exercise with the commission at that time, where staff had a list of, I believe it was 27 items. And we described all 27 items. We had estimate dollar amounts next to each one, and the commission prioritized them. And that created, I believe we kept it around a top 7 to 10, knowing that no matter what the dollar value was, we may not be able to get to all these, but at least it gave us a list of these are the commission's priority if capital funding was available. So from that exercise, we created a 5-year capital plan, and the top 5 items from that prioritization exercise is what created the capital plan. So when we dive into the actual capital plan, that's what helps, I guess, give the background on how the heck did we get there. Sleep work. Maybe not. So first thing, is for our park section or park department, no matter what terminology you want to use. One of the things that was in that top 5 priority for our commission, we have in our existing park system, aging playground, pieces of playground equipment. No matter if the playground equipment is grouped into for ages 2 to 5 and 5 to 12. And gosh, our the folks that previously had the positions of Rebecca and myself must have received a bunch of grants or something all within like the mid to late 90s, because that's when all the playground equipment was purchased. So then we were stuck with, holy cow, a large amount of inventory all in almost the same shape, whether if just obsolete, can no longer find replacement parts, falling apart, you name it. So a part of this exercise, we identified as a commission and staff that one of our top priorities was a playground replacement program. And to do that annually, because that starts to spread that out versus doing it all in 1 year or in 2 years. So out of the funding that was created, it's $150,000 every fiscal year to replace an aged or outdated or obsolete playground equipment. And then Gino Leone, our parks manager, and the parks team and on the team are certified playground inspectors. They inspected every single play, of which they do anyway, but they prioritized all the playground equipment and what needs to be replaced when, and have kind of created a sub capital plan within. So it's do this one this fiscal year, this one this fiscal year, and move on down the line. So far, we have replaced, I believe, I think at 3 park locations. Our first year was at Ponderosa Trails Park in the Ponderosa Trails neighborhood. This past fiscal year was Mobile Haven and Smoke Rise. Is in this past fiscal year, meeting ending in June 30th, and then upcoming is McMillan Mesa Park. There will be a time that we're going to need to possibly build a balance or supplement 150,000. When you think of a huge playground structure like at Bushmaster Park or at Fox Glen Park, 150,000 is not going to do it. So as staff, though, we'll figure out how to supplement that or carry it forward and build a larger balance to accomplish that. But that was one of the highest priorities out of that exercise, and we've been implementing that which has been awesome. And the community has thoroughly appreciated it and enjoyed. And at times, we've engaged with the community on, hey, here's 3 concept designs. Which one do you want in your park? Like, quick vote, quick survey, and we're getting that feedback and then installing what the neighborhood and or community are asking for. So it's kind of a neat engagement process on that too. For our recreation section, where we're focused through that prioritization exercise, the largest thing that came about, and here's an image of all 4 of our recreation centers, was HVAC in the gymnasium at Hal Jensen. So that's our youth recreation center in an underserved neighborhood and community, and it's hot in there. And then you throw a bunch of teenagers and high schoolers in there, it's hot and smelly. So that was also one of those top 5 priorities. We are through design. We have a permit, and installation on that project will begin this October and November. That will be really cool to add air-conditioned space to that part of the rec center. So again, taking one of those top 5 priorities and we're knocking it out. Some of the other ones that ended up not coming out of that BBB special revenue fund balance, there's brand new siding on the Aquaplex. That project was substantially complete last week. There's an old photo of what it used to look like, and that's not even the bad part. And now there's the new siding on the Aquaplex. That was just a large City of Flagstaff capital project that just occurred. So down here in the corner, that was the old cementitious siding. It was cracking, it was falling apart. It was seemed to be a big problem, and now we have a new metal siding installed and complete. That was a $1.5 million capital adventure, not out of our prioritization exercise, but still benefited one of our recreation centers. Out of that prioritization exercise, nothing else percolated into that top 5 for our rec centers. So it was the HVAC, air conditioned space at Hal Jensen. Here's a list of what some of those top ones were. So we just talked about the sport courts at Bushmaster Park. Boom, and we're completing that, 60% complete on that construction. Hal Jensen, 20% complete, because we've got construction drawings, we've got a permit, now the heavy part. Highland Mesa Park, that was that new West Side Park on the west side of town. A little bit over 1.5 million. We're at concept design, and that's it. And I do want to circle back to that one, and we're going to dive into that one a little bit more. Again, in that top 5 was some type of remodel or renovation to the Heritage Square restrooms. Those are the restrooms as attached to the Hopi Trust building. They're in an alley right across the way from Uptown Billiards, Creperie, and Old Town Shops. And we'll dive more into that discussion too. We talked about the annual playground replacement, huge success there. That was a great priority that the commission came up with, and staff has been implementing that over the past few fiscal years. Coming up, this was also in that top 5, top 7 for the commission, is the Cheshire Park expansion. That's the running track with the multi-purpose field on the additional roughly 8.5 acres that are just kind of to the north of existing Cheshire Park. Ponderosa Park reconstruction. When we were going through that prioritization exercise, Ponderosa Park in Sunnyside had just been destroyed by the flooding events as a part of the museum fire. So that was high on our list, but we knew we would need to fit it in depending on when that suite of stormwater improvements going north all the way downstream were complete. So that's a future one in future fiscal years. And coming soon, we'll do some outreach on that. And then way out in the future was Continental Park expansion. And what that is out at Continental Park, there are 5 ball fields. There's T-ball, some Little League fields, and a girls softball field in kind of a concourse. that takes up about 15 acres of space. There are 86 other acres heading north up to I-40 that are for Continental Regional Park. It'd be one of those huge parks like Thorpe Park is. And we do not have a girls softball complex at all. Girls softball has a field here, a field there, a field there, instead of combined and convenient type of a ball field for that user group. So that $3 million out in a few future years was a priority. 3 million is not gonna get us a girls softball complex. It'll get us design and construction drawings on something like that. And that's, and maybe, and whether some easements are needed or something like that, but that's about it. So it's not gonna get us the actual girls softball complex, and city council is aware of that too. But I wanted to bring these up because it's been a while since we prioritized needs and projects. What do we think? There's some that they're going or are complete or whatever. And then there's some that are in the future, or just at concept discussion or concept design. So I'd love to engage with the commission on what do we think? What's changed since 2022? Quite a bit. And like, what do we want to do? Do we want to do a new prioritization exercise? Because especially for projects that staff haven't maybe had a chance to dive into, what do we think is our best approach? Or stick with what we have, or what do we want to do?
Well, I mean, Josh, I don't know if you were there, but you weren't. I think it's just Steve and I that were there. Which says a lot that we have a whole new commission of people
For the prioritization,
were you there for that?
I was like, maybe, I was very fresh.
Started, yeah.
Okay. And yeah, and I think it would be kind of cool if now that you're not fresh anymore, we have fresh faces, we have people who've been on for a long time, like even when Steve and I transition out, probably here soon, I don't know when we transition out, but,
Next August.
oh, okay, then we're kind of the veterans with the newbies. I think it's a great idea
I
to,
think, yeah, like you said, it's a good balance of experience right now. It's a kind of ideal time to do it.
The thing that I would love to talk about on a few of these, now that I understand a lot more about, like, especially the Heritage Square restroom thing, who that's benefiting and who we may be able to loop in on, hey, this is helping these sets of people. You know, how what would be beneficial for them and, you know, possibly even cost mitigative to us or some,
Right.
and I'm sure nobody's going to start handing over budget for anything that I think, but I just, like, now that I understand a little bit more about how
Better,
stuff
yeah.
works, now I'm like, because that Heritage Square bathroom is, after understanding what Heritage Square is and who owns it, who manages it, and who benefits from it, it's like three different groups, and you're going, well, why are
Right.
we doing the bathroom for something that we're just,
Yeah, and you would think the businesses would want to be involved in that too, because businesses end up using,
you'd be
even though
surprised.
they have their own, they don't want to. Oh, I know, because yeah, but you would think that they would want to, but they're kind of putting it on other people.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, and as they should like to. I mean, I'm sure I would love someone else to build my bathrooms too, but I just would like to know kind of a little bit more about that. So,
Yeah,
but I
absolutely.
totally agree with Commissioner Kerr. I think it'd be.
Right. Commissioner's names, I was using Edward's first name. Sorry.
She called me Josh. I was just trying to be. But no, I would love to hear what the new commissioners think.
Yep,
Fresh eyes on it, fresh new perspective. I mean, we did it
exactly,
4 years ago, so.
exactly.
I do also, I feel like we love kids, but adult sports are a lot bigger. As of the last like 3 years, I think, post-COVID, I think people got more into that. And I do think that supporting that part of it should be part of our priority, maybe not like the main priority, but it definitely should be on the list.
Yeah, I think we should. You know, again, we've got projects they're moving.
Oh, yeah.
So those aren't the ones to touch. We can discuss them all we want in any specifics on them.
I feel like that thick black line that's on your spreadsheet there is kind of delineating, we're already doing the things above this line in this.
Okay.
It's I don't know why it's displaying that way. It's
on
literally
purpose?
the
I
same.
think we all know.
It's the same.
No, but
line.
is that kind of,
Not really. I literally put them in order of status. So you've got a percentage complete, an actual concept design created, concept discussions, and I'd love to dive into what that really means.
but I guess I'm looking at it just as things that are malleable to some point, and it's really
Right.
stuff that's south of that line that could be malleable.
Maybe I would even state anything that is not a percentage complete can have a discussion held on it. That includes Highland Mesa Park.
Oh, good, we can talk about the parking. I'm just kidding. No.
But because again, it's at a stopping point. We haven't moved dirt. We haven't done this. We haven't done that. So it's something to discuss. Does it fall down the line a little bit? Does the funding get reallocated for something else? Those are all potential discussions. And I can talk, let's, if everyone's okay, let's dive into Heritage Square restroom because it was a top 5 priority, not even a top 7 for the commission. And it has been a problem before that, and it is still a problem. But it's a problem that we hope from a staff lens that we have some solutions on. So they are physically 2 bathroom units with doors, rooms that you go into to utilize. They've got a toilet, a sink, infant changing station, hand dryer, all the typical things that you find in a bathroom. What is difficult about them is it is an enclosed room that an individual or individuals can go inside, lock the door, and be in there for whatever duration. And a lot of unwanted behaviors occur in them, a lot. And some of that is due to the nature of the design. So what staff have been trying to work on for a handful of years, you'll see it's going back to fiscal year 24, is how do we redesign these 2 bathrooms to mitigate those unwanted behaviors? And this project has taken many turns where at one point in time, it was going to be what's called the Portland Loo, which is basically a fancy looking restroom unit that you place, connect to sewer and potable water. And you can put an artistic wrap on it. You can do whatever. So it was physically going to close those and put one of those at the square. That, maybe greater than 12 months ago, feedback from business owners and the Downtown Business Alliance was no, not happening.
What, did they say why? Like, what was the?
Sure. Business owners did not want a bathroom right outside eateries.
So it was gonna be physically located very.
At Heritage Square.
Like where at Heritage Square, like right next to Diablo Burger is what I'm kind of hearing.
Because that's where the bathroom is currently, kind of. It's like right across.
It's in an alley right there. It was going to be located more on the actual square property, not down in the amphitheater, but I say up top only because it's a couple steps up, but more up top, there's a couple large planters. There's a doorway that comes upstairs from a parking garage. It was going to be placed up there, which is also where there's sewer and potable water available too.
It already smells weird there too.
So then that was a no. Then staff also met with some downtown business owners and city leadership about, well, do we take the Portland Loo and just go to a different location? Take it off the square. And we took a look at a city-owned parking lot. It's from a staff lens called the LaRue parking lot. It's where the bulk of the ADA accessible parking spaces are. And there's also alley access always. It would be to the east of LaRue and south of
With the
Aspen.
things that go up and down.
There are no things that, no, it's surface parking, it's ADA spaces. To the south is Karma Sushi, and I'm not sure what other restaurants. In there.
Like, wait,
That, well, it's just across
within the
Aspen.
DBA, I was thinking something.
Still within the downtown area and close to Heritage Square. That was also a no, unfortunately. So then we went back to the drawing board and said, okay, then let's figure out how to renovate and remodel these 2 units.
Do we have to have bathrooms?
Public restrooms are huge and I think a need in civic spaces.
Is there some, and I'm spitballing because I know nothing about this. I do not like to use public restrooms
Right.
for the reasons that we talked about those behaviors. So I guess I'm wondering if there's like some sort of code that says we have to have a bathroom.
I don't believe that there is code that
Did
states,
the DBA mention do away with the bathrooms altogether?
no.
But they want a bathroom, they just don't like any of the bathroom ideas.
So it's not necessarily the DBA. So the building owner is Hopi Trust. And a part of that agreement, when that building was constructed, as well as Heritage Square and the parking garage below, is that's all one parcel, one property, is that the city maintains the square and these restrooms that are within that building envelope.
Has anybody?
So it's not DBA saying yes or no.
Has anybody gone back to the Hopi Trust, whoever, I don't know who that is, but have they gone back to the Hopi Trust and said, these bathrooms are a point of contention? Why do we need to have them?
We've talked, so there's that, and that's part of the complication of it. There are many partners involved in this. So yes, we've been
Can't
talking
imagine how.
we've been talking with the actual property owner, building owner. There are agreements between property owner, building owner, and the city of Flagstaff. And including the maintenance, and that was a result of the construction of the actual project. And then there are partners like the DBA and FD Bird that are all the business owners in the area. And then there is a need for public restrooms in civic spaces. Because other restrooms that are used to a certain capacity would be at, say, the downtown library, which is still a couple blocks away. There's also a public restroom at the Amtrak station that's attached to the city's visitor center. There are new public restrooms at the Downtown Connection Center that have so just south of the tracks that have a public facing component. They're not open to the public yet. If I was a gambling person, they're gonna have the exact same problems that we have with these 2 restrooms, just because of the way that they've been designed. They're individual rooms, you can go inside.
The bus, the connection.
So we haven't spent $1 of this 250,000, but where we are is back to remodel the existing, and now it's how do you remodel them to just completely change how you even enter them.
Like I said, I just, the more I understand, and I would think the commission would, I don't know, maybe agree with this. The more I understand them, the more complicated they become and the more players there are that are involved in it. And so at some point, there's the solution that we have seems to only benefit one set of people, whereas it divides the other 7 people who are involved. And I guess I'm curious. I know that we need a restroom down there. I get it. I don't know.
I got a question. Have you,
So it is Fraser, yeah.
have you considered opening those up completely, creating an alcove and then locating the Portland loos inside of that?
I've considered that. They're not as large as you would think, so consider the current mentality behind a redesign is remove doors that can be closed and creating an enclosed environment. And how can you open it up and do partitions? Partitions are when you walk into a restroom and they're the little separate things that you lock, and there's an opening at the bottom and an opening at the top. So at least that way feet could be seen, especially if there's multiple feet, misuse, what have you. And then is there a way to bring, just because, so there are currently two toilets or one are needed to go back. That's the feedback that we've received from downtown business owners, because as soon as you remove a toilet, then all of a sudden, any of the other toilets in that area are gonna have an increased usage that are not necessarily public toilets, so it creates more problems. So can you have two partitions with two toilets? You could even have one sink. You don't need two sinks at that point in time. Like, how can you reconfigure this? And then is it a lockable gate that comes down?
I guess,
Ping, and you lock it.
Are the bathrooms in the square, like the downtown shopping center, those aren't considered public restrooms?
Shops, they're not. I mean, that's.
They close when that closes.
Yes, and you mean that's that business owners building and bathrooms, and that's 100% maintenance on them. Yeah.
has there ever been a discussion of with and I know Wheeler isn't that big, but
Right.
it's just on the outside of that envelope that we're talking about. Have they said, hey, we could put a structure there that would be a lot less intrusive to the businesses? I mean, how hard? I mean,
Would that be?
I'm assuming that would be way more expensive.
Don't know. You're dealing with an existing at least footprint, and then who knows? So we're attempting to get some estimates on how do you renovate this, mitigate those behaviors, and then what will this cost? I feel pretty good that there's plenty of budget for it. But yes, we've even had with city leadership conversations about, do we just put some type of restroom at Wheeler? Because does that help the downtown library too, and City Hall, when City
Well,
Hall
you'd
is
probably be
open?
able to get more than two toilets in there, and then you could
Maybe.
actually service more
More people.
people.
And it's not that much further.
I would be worried though about those bathrooms at Old Town Shops being used in a differently than they are today.
Can I just jump in really quick on that point? Because I just had a conversation with the senior deputy city manager, so my boss Shannon, about that exactly. And the feedback from a lot of downtown businesses and the DBA is, we would love you to put something in Wheeler, and we still need the ones at Heritage Square.
Really?
So
Visitorship at Heritage Square. Are there any stats on that?
There are, great question. There are stats on how many people can physically be on the square at one time. And then let's not forget, there's a lot of special events that occur at the square. So now you're talking about no restroom. Hey, come down and hang out at this special event, and then there's no restroom.
But special events that happen at any other park in town, when you are going to highly occupy any other park in town, the first thing you betcha. And so I'm like, so you do a special event, you throw in some porta potties in that alley. And now you've solved the problem of the special event, and you've put the unwanted behavior in a place that I just feel like that in that dark alley, the sun never touches it. And that's, I don't know, there's something to be said. Sun doesn't touch something, maybe good, bad things happen. I don't know.
Vitamin D's good for you.
Events that happen would afford the porta potties. That's a big issue, I think. Sorry.
I will tell you, if you're throwing an event, you can afford the porta potties.
I don't know if Pride and Heritage Square could have. That's the example that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, so just to share, I actually own two businesses downtown. I've got Mountain Sports, which is the outdoor shop on the corner, as well as Brightside Bookshop. And so daily we get these interactions with the public, and there's an expectation for downtown to have a public restroom. And I think the challenges that we're up against is that they're old historic buildings that don't have ADA compliant restrooms. So even.
Well, I'm about to have one, I'll tell you that much.
So when I'd love to hear where, So when
I can't tell.
have a request for a restroom, we were actually embroiled in some ADA lawsuits as well downtown. So people were asking for public restrooms, and then when we were telling them that they could go through this tiny door and trip over our mop bucket, go through this other door to use our restrooms, we were being cited for not being compliant for our public restrooms. So the solution to that is that they are not public restrooms.
Right.
So they're really old and dated buildings that you can't get people to. And that's one of the challenges that, you know, when I've got somebody in the bookshop doing the potty dance, of course, we're gonna let a family go back there and out emergency, but otherwise it's difficult to let people in there for that shared risk, as well as then it falls on our staff to clean up the Martins aftermath that happens in our bathroom. Specifically.
That was
I
it.
need-
Do you want me to type that in here?
Email to me, that's into the meeting.
We call it post-mortems.
Yeah, no, I get it. So that's I didn't realize that you owned all these, but I think this is such a hard.
It's
It
really hard.
is.
There isn't an easy solution. And I think that there are needed public restrooms in these civic spaces, and it is a busy civic space.
It is.
Yeah.
I think removing the doors and putting in partitions sounds like the best option.
Hopefully to mitigate the unwanted behaviors as much as possible.
The restroom is still there, privacy is still there.
Right.
If you need to wash your hands, you can quickly go in and there's
You don't need
all, like, you don't need.
room then to do it.
I feel like that almost makes them more accessible as a bathroom in a public space rather than what they are now, which is, I honestly go to Heritage Square a lot. I go downtown a lot. I avoid those bathrooms like the plague. Because I know what happens in them. They're mostly locked if you need them. So even if you do want to use them, you can't. Because someone's in there doing something.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, I do think that it's needed.
There's a need, there's a community need, a public health need, there's a need. It's hard to get away from that. There's also, I think, a need in Wheeler Park too, in addition, like Rebecca mentioned.
So I mean, based on what you just said, it sounds to me like there's probably going to be budget created for both.
There may need to be.
And if you had to guess, I'm not holding your feet to the fire, but I'm just.
Well, there's no budget. I think what we were trying to discuss over the last few weeks, like, you can imagine that the ideas that Amy has put out here are pretty different for an architect to try to think about, right? So we're struggling a little bit with getting that out, the creative solutions, the out of the box solutions from an architect down on paper. So one thing we started trying to think about was, do we just put something that's maybe self-cleaning, self-supporting in Wheeler Park instead? That's where we got the feedback that Wheeler Park would be great. You need to do that. And we still need the new ones at Heritage Square. So they're not going to be a replacement. So that said, there's only money for Heritage Square.
So that was my question, was I assumed we visited self-cleaning, something that's just on a timer.
Yeah.
And forces you out of the room.
Mhm.
We could,
We have visited, can you pay for restrooms in the state of Arizona? We have visited a lot of content.
and why could we not do the self-cleaning? What was the reason?
It doesn't fit in this
I don't think it'll fit in
space.
space.
And is that for 2 stalls or 1 stall? Cause I figured we'd have to go
Even for
through the one.
one. Even for one, it's quite difficult, because you need that, mechanical facility room associated with it. And again, it's very difficult when there's 2 existing to take 1 away. So definitely cannot fit 2 in with a prefab self-cleaning. There's a lot of amazing new product out there, which I think that the place for it, if there was a budget for it, would be Wheeler Park. It'd be super neat to try out. And then that alleviates maybe some of the problem that our partners at the libraries are feeling too, and at City Hall. There's some really neat stuff out there.
I've seen them.
It's cost. The Fruta, Colorado and Albany, New York just installed one. It's called Urban Blue. Really neat. So actually you can set the doors to open at a duration that you would like. It comes like standard with 20 minutes, but I've read that most cities are going to 15. It informs the user, this door is about to open and this thing's about to spray down and clean this. The one that was installed at two have been installed in Fruta, Colorado, including all their needed site improvements were like 330,000. There's opportunities to add showers to these things, like we're talking about possibly a public health need. You were asking like, who are the users?
No,
My
I know
estimate
who the
is,
users are. I was
yeah.
just saying, like.
no, but we need to talk about it because my estimate is that the users for public restrooms in that type of an environment, whether if at Wheeler Park, in a civic space like that, I bet 80% of the users are unsheltered community members. And they're needing a place to bathe. Like, let's just say what it is. So do you come up with something different outside of these Heritage Square restrooms that are maybe for people in the emergency situation that are downtown or for something else? Because if you can identify a different space for the use that's needed in our community, that might change a lot of the behaviors.
So, and I don't know, so if we talked about two birds best. You just mentioned your bathroom. That's where you are. And I'm actually going through this, so I kind of know the pain of the cost of all this stuff. Has the city looked at it and said, well, what if we just started renovating more of the bathrooms down in with some of the businesses? So actually, rather than taking $250,000 and building two restrooms, taking some restrooms that are already existing in a few of those different places and maybe just giving some kind of break to the building owners who would be in. And I know this has all its own
Yeah.
issues, but I'm like, maybe we get more bang for our buck, and then you could actually create some ADA, spaces that could be accessible within some of the other buildings. I don't know.
I think in a utopian world, it works great, right?
That's not
But
bad.
city funding's not gonna happen that way for private businesses.
Yeah, it's still like the Heritage Square restrooms.
Right.
That problem is not.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's really creative thinking and you run into the same challenge of most of the tenants don't own the buildings.
Right.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough where we were able to, we're 500 North Beaver, so we are a few blocks off of you guys, but I just look at it, I'm like, I don't.
Your bathrooms everywhere would be
Right,
amazing.
yeah, yeah. It's a human need.
Yeah, including in stores. And I'm not saying that.
It's a bit frustrating that it's behavior based and the root cause is the population that needs them, and
Is the population that unfortunately, and I'm not saying, I'm gonna say something that might be a little controversial, but it's the population that is the part of the population that isn't desired to be down there anyway. It's the population that's the hardest on the area. And so you're like, I don't know, that's an impossible problem. I think
It's
those
difficult.
bathrooms are hard.
But yes, very difficult, yeah. And yeah, there's no guarantee that with whatever renovation mitigates all unwanted behaviors. But again, the hope is, does it help mitigate majority of them?
Well, if you put one in that's self-cleaning, you wouldn't need a shower. You just say either get out or stay.
Enjoy. So I mean, it's still it's a very important project to the community, to the city of Flagstaff. I certainly from a staff lens would not recommend not continuing that as a top priority.
Yeah, I really want to circle back and reemphasize that like introducing some kind of shower, like free shower for people to use will help with that misuse of that space. I do think that that's a big one.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's, I just want to be clear with the expectation. That's not the current plan.
No, it's not for this
250
location.
for figuring out how to do 2 toilets, adult changing station.
Yeah, honestly, it might not even be something that the pros does specifically, but something that we work with the city to when they make homeless shelter increase their homeless shelters and increase their, not accessibilities, but things that they provide.
Right. So yeah, I mean, from a staff lens, preference is to keep this one moving from these concept discussions to let's try and get it to percentages complete and implement this for our downtown, our civic space, and for including the maintenance needs of the park team that is challenged with maintaining these restrooms.
How much does it cost to maintain those restrooms annually?
I'll tell you how much it's budgeted for.
Okay.
That's not how much it costs.
Well,
Because we're talking, you know, graffiti removal, paper products, soap product, you name it.
which, like I said, I think there's a creative solution that could be implemented, but I don't know how you do it. But I just was curious how much, like, that would be an interesting
Mhm.
thing to understand is how much does it actually cost to maintain restrooms that are just being abused like you can't believe?
A lot more than what you would think.
Oh, yeah, but you
yeah.
couldn't pay me to clean those restrooms, so.
Yeah, it's.
Can't pay anybody.
Right. Yeah, you never thought you'd talk restrooms this much in your life, right?
I think it's such an interesting problem because that we live downtown too. And we walk through Heritage Square once or twice a week. I love our downtown.
Right.
And I think it is probably one of the most important things that this city can make sure is one of the top priorities because let's face it, our triple B tax happens downtown. And so I think those restrooms are, although they are a I don't want to talk about it. It's not my favorite thing. But
They're
those restrooms
necessary.
are absolutely integral to
Yes.
businesses that are down there and everything else. So.
And I think that's how it got to this priority list and how we threw $250,000 at it. And it's just it's been difficult just to get it into that finish line.
Could we maybe do a joint meeting with the DBA or invite some of those we have one. It would be interesting to see what they all think and understand, you know, what's the DBA's budget? What, you know, I know Hunter uses a lot of money to clean down there. You know, what are their thoughts on what we could do that would be mutually beneficial for everybody?
I don't us to figure it out.
Well, they would hope that, but then
Let's not forget that the DBA does not own these restrooms. The DBA does not own this property. So
Right.
let's not forget that aspect. But the city is in conversations with the DBA about a enhanced service level for downtown, not just bathrooms or anything like that, but truly an enhanced service level. Because think of all the services that occur downtown outside of, say, business owner scope. You're talking about snow operations, solid waste, there's painting curbs red, all of that. There's a lot. Yeah, litter pickup, cleaning, scrubbing things outside of just even these two restrooms.
I'm
So
just,
there are some larger conversations going on, but unfortunately, I do think it's a bad idea to invite the DBA to talk about this with the commission, just because DBA doesn't own the property.
Well, I just want to, again, trying to lay out some expectations. We've been asked to do this project. We are doing this project. We have the funding. We've engaged the services of an architect. Like, it's not necessarily this commission's job to figure out the solution either. We are hiring the professionals with the funding provided. We will get there. I'm sure we'll figure out something, even if it's just a complete makeover. You know, park staff just re-epoxied the floor,
Right.
you know, so maybe it's put up some, maybe rip out and replace fixtures and put stainless steel on the walls, you know, maybe we even just do that to do something. And especially if this enhanced services contract goes through with more frequent cleanings and more eyes, that should be on it more than what pros can do regularly. Maybe they stay better, but I think Amy's intention of bringing this up was just for you to understand the struggle and why this one isn't done. It seems remodel 2 stalls in the bathrooms, right? It seems like it should be done by now, like the Bushmaster sport courts. Strangely enough, those seem to be easier to get done, right? So we don't I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm just saying, like, we don't need you to solve the problem. I appreciate the brainstorming and we'll take all the ideas. I think that we have spent a ton of time with the partners, with DBA, with the businesses, with FD Bird. Amy has presented to the boards of both. We meet monthly with DBA, like all the things. There's another group that I run that we meet monthly and talk about things like this. So we're working on it, and I am convinced that we will get there soon, especially we've got the best person, in my opinion, working on it. With that creativity and that outside of the box thinking, we'll get there. This is one that, as Amy said, we can't really take off the table. The momentum is too far. It'll get done. We'll be bringing you, maybe not drone shots, but pictures one day, and you will never thought that you'd be so excited about this done. But I do think it's probably worth your time talking about some of the other projects that we haven't started.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to solve the Heritage Square bathroom.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. I don't think this one should, it's still a high community need. It should not come off this list. And it's ironically below this magical bold line that, for whatever reason, that's how it's displayed.
Damn it, you put the line just one too high, Amy. Could have avoided this whole discussion.
Before we dive into Highland Mesa Park, there's staff's recommendation would also be not to push or reallocate the Cheshire Park expansion. Staff are getting ready to apply for a grant to help leverage these funds to deliver this, because talk about, again, a need for the community. There's not a public running track for this community. The running tracks are at the high schools and the college. And we have a need for additional multi-purpose fields. So it seems to check a bunch of boxes for the community in one project. So from a staff lens, I wouldn't recommend reallocating that project. Same for Ponderosa Park reconstruction. That was an existing park in our network, unfortunately destroyed by floodwaters. Let's bring it back. Why not? I think that is also a difficult one to take off the table. It wasn't existing. It has a few amenities that survived the flood. Let's finish the park and get it back in for the neighborhood. So it really starts to bring up just a couple others. And this is just in the 5-year plan, not the 10-year. And we can even talk about the 10-year and where the conversation started is, do we engage in a new prioritization exercise? So you've got the Highland Mesa Park for the 1.5 million and Continental Park for 3 million. That can really be something that could be reallocated if we'd like. And then I can tell you in the out years of outside of that 5 years, so in years 6 to 10, the only project that sits out there are some more funds for Continental Park and for Thorpe Park. And for everyone's recollection, that was our former public works yard. That is 8.3 acres of Thorpe Park. So that's not the Indigenous Community Cultural Center itself, the historic stone building, but it's the park amenities that surround that. That's in the out years. Was an easy placemaker for staff in those years 6 to 10 to say, if the BBB special revenue dollars are strong, perfect. Let's put it right there. So there's some opportunity, I think, to discuss, or there are things that we adjust. We try to put some escalation monikers, if you will, because stuff just continues to be more expensive. So I think we're very careful in stating, like, say, 3 million. 3 million is a lot of money, but we know that's gonna probably get design of the park, not much else. We're being, I think, pretty prudent with that.
With the Highland Mesa Park, when you kind of gave me the update that we onboarded last month, it sounds like you've already reached out to that community and gotten feedback.
Yes.
And I suppose in considering that, has that same thing happened with the Continental Park expansion?
Has not happened with
Okay.
Continental Park.
I guess it comes to mind that that would feel like to that neighborhood that things are in motion, and to stop that progress would feel disingenuous to the neighborhood if we've asked them what they want and then we say, sorry, you're not getting anything.
It could.
Yeah, and.
That's the reason it's above that thick line, right? That is just.
And that's why I think the Ponderosa Park, we have to keep on, because for that reason, if it doesn't get updated, that would be letting down the community for sure.
Yeah.
And the Continental is something that's like a secret. They don't know about it yet.
And even Cheshire, but that sounds really exciting for
And I
them.
think Cheshire, I don't know how people know about it, but I know the running club is already excited about that.
Just a little bit more history if I can, and Amy knows I can't help myself, I'm sorry. The running club brought the running track to this commission. That's how it got started. So that's why, and we do continue to meet with Vince from Run Flagstaff regularly to let him know what we're doing and where we are. On Continental Park, I've been working with Parks and Recreation, or at least Recreation, since 2017. And it says Continental Park expansion. You could also read, also known as girls softball little league fields. For as long as I can remember, that has been at the top of the list since we did that last park. In what year did you say that was?
2003.
2003. That's like the thing that didn't get done, that should have been done. You know, and you think about, we've got Little League baseball, Little League fields everywhere. And they have dedicated complexes where they've got 4 fields, they can have up their banners, they've got home field advantage, they've got their home crowds. Girls softball, Little League does not have that. They have a field here and a field here and a field here. One has lights or none have lights.
One has lights.
One has lights.
Are they different
So they
dimensions?
just don't have that same kind of home field advantage. And it's very spaced out. So in terms of actual space, they have equal space. It just doesn't feel the same. And so I think if we went and talked to, which Amy used to attend monthly, the softball Little League board member meetings, because they were constantly here, they were at council, like, just because they've gone quiet doesn't mean that the need has gone away. So we've got a lot of new people. I saw you shaking your head, Austin, like you remember those conversations. And I'm sure Stephen does too, but it's pretty painful. That's a painful history. And one reason why the commission, when they did these priorities, was trying to put aside something to get that started. And my grand plans with the design being complete is that then you have something to go to voters.
Yeah.
To ask for maybe a bond project or a grant, like all the things could maybe align at the same time. We'll be much more successful with that, in my opinion, if we have a design and can show people what it's going to look like. And especially if we can show them that it's not just a girls softball complex, although that might be the first phase, but it's also going to be open space and trails and maybe eventually an event space. That could be continued over time.
There was a concept master plan done for that, I recall, but
There was in
that's all it was.
early 2000s, yep. And I think we're still kind of staying true to that. But that really is the only location that we have enough land for another softball or any spot.
It's really appropriate for that. FYI to everybody here, that whole park is in a floodplain. So all part of the Rio de Flag floodplain. So we can't put any structures or anything in there.
But you can have.
Fields,
Fields.
yes.
What's the difference between that and what I've played adult softball on? Are those used or they're only for adult or there's different dimensions for girls?
There are different dimensions, including between boys' little league and girls' little league, to the pitching mound as well as the bases, and then also to, and then also with adults. So that becomes incredibly cumbersome if we're constantly needing to change. Not only, just the bases are not the bad part, it's the pitching mounds. Cause you can create different ways of bringing in the outfield, which we do. Flag High girls softball tends to use those adult softball fields for their high school when needed and or host tournaments, and they're just able to bring in the infield. Yeah, it's wild when you, and then the ages, including for Little League, when it's T-ball to whatever age group, to this age
It's
group.
just different.
Yeah.
What has been why don't, she said that this has been going on since the 1990s. Has it been money? Is it just
Yes.
authority? It's money.
Yes, correct. Yeah. It has. Yeah.
And like, if we had to, you said 3,000 for planning, which is wild to me, but 3,000 for just the design and the
The
planning.
84 acres. Yeah.
Yeah, and then how much is it, like, how much?
To
more?
develop.
Yeah.
It is on the unfunded list. We talk about that every budget cycle and season with city council. It's, I mean, that's
I think we
many
did,
millions.
we did an estimate a few years back, I remember.
Yeah, we do have that on our unfunded list.
It was like, it
Million.
was like almost 10 or
I
10.
think to build, say like a four field softball complex.
Million?
I thought we developed the whole park.
For each acres easily. The girls softball complex, say 4 fields with like that central complex. I think we've estimated 25 million.
Where's the bulk? You just said it. I was asking you.
25 million
25 million.
is our estimate to fully develop a girls softball complex.
$25 million.
You're talking lights, all like that, possibly access, because there's just currently one parking lot. You're gonna, fire department's gonna require secondary access. There's a lot of other infrastructure things that come into play. Yeah.
Thank you. That was what I was curious about, was how much, like, what are we?
Right, and that's, I mean, it's incredibly important, but at this rate, it's a design then sitting on a shelf waiting for Flagstaff's billionaire or the 25 million or a bond or something that we go out to the voters in the community to see, like, do you support this? And if you got a design, that usually helps get support from our community to go, look at this cool thing we could deliver with your vote yes on this. But without that, a little bit harder to describe.
I asked this, I think, a time ago or 2 times ago, and I think I irritate you each time I ask it.
Every month,
Is
Stackhouse.
is to come and mess with Amy. Is there some sort of revenue study that you could show that when we have this kind of thing up here, this softball or this pride parade or whatever, you know, it would just be
What
supremely.
does it generate?
Yeah.
Yes.
How can we, you know, I'm always looking for ways to sell this to someone. I'm like, if you could just show that when we have a softball thing like this up here for these people to do it, the hotel revenue, the this, the that, it just explodes. And you could, I don't know, I just feel like.
Absolutely. And, you know, I mean, the fields that we have today, they're packed every weekend with tournaments, with whatever, especially summertime when it's just way too hot in the valley. So groups are constantly coming up here. They're physically renting that space and it's run through our special events department because it is a special event. There's impacts to that parking lot. Additional portable toilets might be needed. They may have food trucks coming in. It becomes a special event. It becomes a music festival. It's just sport instead. So that does occur today. Could we, through economic vitality, tell the story differently? We could, and they do an amazing job already, including with Discover Flagstaff, of telling the story, because they're also BBB funded, just like us. So we constantly are telling that story. Do I have the actual measurable data to show that? I don't have that. I don't. Could we, work with economic vitality and attempt to get it? Yes. But definitely don't have it.
You do like some of the other agencies around the country and just make it up.
Yeah, it's,
I
No, you're
like, I
good.
just wanna, I, these kinds of things, it's so hard for me to stay quiet, cause I'm like, if you understood how much money it brings to downtown, to this, to the hotel, I'm like, it just makes this community that much more.
Right.
So,
It was asked of me by Councilmember Aslan with the sport courts at Bushmaster Park. Hey, Amy, you deliver these things, and then with all these pickleball tournaments, how much revenue do you think that's gonna bring? And the rate that is charged to say host a tournament on a sport court or on a field, it's not bringing in that much revenue. The cost to do
it's not
that.
to you, but it's it's
Yes.
everything else. It's the.
Well, yeah, and then there's the heads in beds, there's there's eating in the restaurants, there's buying things, it's all included. But just that actual revenue generated from renting that space, no, that's not gonna get you there to recoup these dollars.
I just feel like there's gotta be a way to measure the residual that flows through a beer bottle and back into your coffers.
Yeah, right, yep.
They always do that, like when you have the Super Bowl down in Phoenix or whatever, and they always somehow project out, like, the average person is gonna spend this much money.
Steven just took the words out of my mouth.
Yep.
Do you think no, that's a made up number. Let's just make.
Right.
It sounds like you guys are talking about economic impact studies and we've talked with, a couple of times. And if the commission thinks that that's something that they would really like to have in terms of like the events and the tournaments that we host on our properties, we could work with them. They typically would hire that out to a third party consultant. There's some folks that work at NAU that do a lot of those. I suggested that they should just take that on as a project because it would be a great thing for everybody to know, but we can certainly talk to them. Or if the commission is asking for that to be done.
We just thought it would be helpful as you're talking about the softball, the girls softball, especially showing, Josh brought it up with the economic impacts. Showing that might help sell it or whatever, especially if you're going for a full finish and being able.
When it comes to the,
We need design
Yeah.
first,
yeah,
and the design is gonna tell.
help push it.
I think what's hard about all these is if you put this to a priority test again, I think all these are gonna.
Would they just,
To the
would we
topic.
get them again,
But it
right?
would be interesting to get new
Yeah.
people's perspective on what's important to them too. I still agree with Commissioner Kerr. I still think that might be a fun.
Exercise to go through. Do we do it with years 6 through 10?
Yeah, I was gonna say, cause like, if these are in the,
These feels-
we can't stop it. But like, yeah,
It'll be interesting to hear what other, because we did this a few years ago. So what other developments have occurred that have been added to that priority list?
Yeah, right.
New projects, and remember, I think we gave you all a list of
27.
Yeah. And we were able to fund within the 10-year plan, 10.
Maybe,
of them.
yes.
So we can certainly remind the commission what the other and educate those that are newer, what the rest of those projects were, if they're still needed. And
if there's new.
add anything else to the
Or their
list.
new ones, yeah.
Are any of those proposed projects like a sports complex center for general city use? Like a lot of our adult recreational sports rent from the school district, or they don't have their own spaces. There isn't really a Flagstaff dedicated space for, I'm thinking roller derby, but also I know hockey has an issue with this. So we've tried to work with them to maybe on our own try to fund something, but I don't think that's on your list of projects for like a indoor space, I guess.
Oh, not an indoor space. I think that is one that has come up more recently. That would be one of those add-ons to the list. We also have, as part of our annual budget process, an unfunded projects list, which is where a lot of those other
Exist.
projects came from. And we review that every year as part of our budget review, and we update the ridiculously large estimates. I'll just throw out a few things that I can think of off the top of my head that are on that list is like a full-size lap pool. Like a competitive size lap pool for the public. Another regional park, like in the Lake Mary General Airport, general vicinity. The Thorpe Park updates, I think are on there. Gosh, what a splash pad, like, things like that, or what's on there. There's gotta be more right now that I'm on this one, but, that's all stuff that we could bring back and ask you, like, what else would you add to the list? And then we could maybe prioritize those and not touch necessarily what's in the 5 or maybe even the 10-year plan, but in terms of what's left, what's next in terms of priority for the commission. And so when hopefully there are new dollars in the BBB, then where would we allocate those?
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
And I think what I'm looking for today is, does everyone feel comfortable with what we have in a variety of levels of status, keeping this intact? Because then that expends all the way through fiscal year 28. That's where we're headed. That's the direction staff is going with those BBB special revenue funds. And then again, we can bring back a new prioritization exercise with maybe some new items that have come about over the last 4 years and say, now let's go through another exercise for a different time period. Not to adjust these on the screen, but
Well, we gotta be careful, right? We can't ask, are these good? Without knowing
the others.
what, would you like the steak or you don't get to see the rest of the menu, you know, kind of thing. So I feel like this is fine, given we don't know what else is out there. But if you show us what else is out there, and that would be, I don't know how to say it.
It's a good point to make that a lot of these things are things that kind of have to happen for the community. And so it's hard to renegotiate basically anything on this board right now.
Yeah.
So we're good, and it would be more entertaining to talk about what else is
What
there?
else is out there?
What else is out?
Given that this is kind of set in semi-stone.
Well, I remember there were a large number of items that were on the unfunded list. And so
It's a lot.
reviewing those again
And seeing what our priorities
would
are.
be eye-opening, especially for the new.
And any other ideas or ideas that we've received from the community
Yeah.
on things or needs that have been expressed?
Or we could talk about the bathrooms for another 2 hours.
You want to?
You know me, I was up for a good bathroom discussion.
Potty mouth.
Well, if all commissioners are comfortable, does everyone agree we keep this list intact? And staff keep moving forward on this list, including items that are in the future and not even currently funded just yet? That would only be the Continental Park, 3 million, but
I mean, to put out there, that would be my top priority, even if as someone who's been around a long time, it always remains the top priority until it happens. So
Until you start talking about the.
Continental.
Yeah, that's good to know the history of.
Always it's get me all excited about other things that I can't control. And Rebecca will step in and say, stop talking so much, Commissioner Stackhouse. Thank you.
And I know like general park maintenance is something that is funded separately from all of that.
correct, yes, yeah, yeah. And there are other, also both our parks and recreation sections receive annually operating capital. It's not significant dollars, but, and it's not necessary, it's general fund, but, cause it's not BBB funded, none of that is.
Well,
Depends.
it's a mix.
It's a mix, but it's an opportunity for us to work with our parks and recreation managers and be like, especially when we have some of these smaller yet impactful items, we can work with them because they sit down with staff each year and start to think about, okay, how do we want to allocate these funds next year? What do we want to get done? And they know a handful of things that all of us may not know since they're in these spaces daily. Again, it's not significant dollars, and like for, say for recreation, primarily it's been used for replacement fitness equipment, items like that. Again, like the playground structures, they become obsolete, damaged beyond repair, you name it. So that's that opportunity for our recreation team. For parks, they have done things like foots railing where it's needed, some smaller projects. One time when we finished the outdoor roller rink, it was with those funds. So they've done a variety of projects and tend to mix them up in the park grounds or along the urban trail or the cemetery based on needs that they know. But if there are ideas, I'm sure they're always going to be welcome to any ideas too, as they continue to program and allocate those dollars annually. So there's times that, we can maybe sprinkle in some smaller projects, and then, when you're talking about capital, it's usually gonna be those larger, high dollar projects kind of thing. All right, then we're gonna keep this intact. Don't let him speak anymore. I really appreciate the conversation because I think will also set up this commission, because next month is the combination meeting we do twice a year with Open Spaces Commission. It's not, this group knows by heart, this is we've got in our 5-year capital plan, and can talk about it with the Open Spaces Commissioners and the items that they have in their 5-year capital plan too. And maybe some of them intersect, you never know, kind of thing. Cool. We good on this one?
We can beat that one to death.
You don't want to talk about restrooms again?
We're all set. Gotta go home tonight.
Good discussion. Thank you.
So it will not be in September, that we'll have that prioritization exercise, but maybe that's a fun winter activity.
True. All right. Well, thank you for that lovely discussion, and look forward to doing that exercise sometime in the future. And then I guess we're done with our discussion items, just reports and updates. I don't think we have Councilmember Garcia.
In the chat that he's traveling to the Arizona League of Cities conference today, so unable to join us. He said he would watch the video.
Okay. And so we move on to the pros monthly newsletter. I don't know if you guys look at those in the package, but it's always kind of fun to see trailer usage and so on and so forth. What else is going on?
It was a big newsletter because it was the July one, and Parks and Recreation Month. That's where the drone show came into play, not drone video. Yeah.
Taking down the dangerous tree. Bushmaster.
There was a dangerous tree that came down that park staff worked with wildland staff. Yeah.
If anyone has any comments or anything else they'd like to highlight from the monthly newsletter, feel free. Otherwise, we can move on to the informational items to and from commissioners and staff.
This is purely anecdotal, which I am one of the several voices of morning Aquaplex people. Question. How do we go about getting new bars, power bars? Because there's the one for the deadlift pad that's great. It's really grippy. It's awesome. Every other bar is almost smooth, like it's just no grip. So I was curious what the process is to replace those bars.
I think best thing would be to email the Aquaplex supervisor,
Kyle?
Kyle Gambino, and make this suggestion as a patron.
And then we'll add it to the 16 things that we're in prayer.
Thank you. The power bars. I looked them up. I was like, okay, this is how much they are. And maybe they could replace them like every quarter, just like slowly start rotating them out so that I know.
Right on the dark line.
I also see Mr. Johnson, the manager, is online and I'm sure listening intently and hearing your suggestions. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's from my morning crew here at the Aquaplex. I was like, I'll bring it to the commission. Don't worry, guys. So
There's something I will never comment on. Working out.
us powerlifters, we gotta have grippy bars. Have grippy bars.
I know it kind of sprinkled in, but should we do introductions of new commissioners? I know we were able to do one last month and then we've got one for this month too.
Yeah, if you want, we can all just reintroduce ourselves.
Sure.
So, why don't we start with Josh and just work.
Josh Stackhouse, commissioner since I don't remember when, 2020-ish, I don't know.
I tried to erase it from my mind.
Welcome, everybody that's new.
I'm Lisa Lamberson, and as I stated, I do spend my days downtown. I've got Brightside Bookshop and Mountain Sports. I also grew up here in Flagstaff, been in the community since 1980, and I'm now raising my son here with my husband, who's a paramedic. So we're deeply ingrained in the community and excited to learn a lot more about this section of chaos.
I'm Commissioner Camille Diab. I am known for doing roller derby in town. That's what I talk about the most probably. I also am big in outdoor spaces. I'm a snowboarder, hiker. I've lived in Flagstaff for the past 15 years, so very invested in mostly outdoor spaces and that kind of aspect of town is why I'm still around. Yeah, just happy to be here. I really want to help build the community that I want to see for my own family because I'm hoping to start building one soon.
I'm Austin Kerr. I am a teacher in town. This is my second term. Been doing it for a while, which is cool. Yeah.
Where do you teach?
I teach at NPA. Yeah. And
What do you teach at NPA?
I teach 11th grade US history and AP US history and AP seminar, which is like a argument class, which is kind of fun.
What's it like teaching history and then living through history?
I was gonna say that sounds like a fun one to teach right now.
The agenda.
I was gonna say that, but we're gonna beat you to it.
So, okay, sorry, off track. My name is Neil Fraser. Nice to meet you. When I first introduced myself, I told everyone I worked for Nestle Brina for 16 years. Then I work now, currently employed by Gore. So closing in on 4 years there. I've got 2 children, 7 and 4. They love to rec shop. They like Ninja Warrior stuff. So the new park having potentially Ninja Warrior is awesome. So I see Parks and Rec through a child's lens now, which is a lot of fun. And I thoroughly enjoy outdoor spaces. It's you guys saw me come in filthy the other day. I actually do some of that work as well. But outdoor spaces that are usable and pretty, I enjoy. So that's kind of how I found my way.
I'm Steve Parsons. I moved up from Phoenix in 2018. I think I've been on the commission maybe a year or two after that. And I actively work as a landscape architect for a civil engineering firm here in Flagstaff. And very much into outdoors, always have been my entire life growing up in Portland. And then moving down to go to U of A. Been here ever since. So, but I've only been in Flagstaff for the last 7.5 years. That's me.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
I'll say I'm the other new commissioner. I don't know if that was obvious.
Yes. Cool.
Any other informational items?
I kind of mentioned it before, but I do kind of want to bring up the lighting at Bushmaster is really bad. I don't know if it was recently updated. I think the lights might need some updating or some replacement of wiring. They're just, especially the lights on the main walking path out towards the other parking lot. And then the lights on the skating rink, they're just really dim. And it is supposed to be open until 10, but you really can't use it past 8. And being in the park in general feels unsafe because of the lighting too. So I think just for pedestrian usage, I think the lighting at Bushmaster is a real issue. And while we're having this update and bringing more people into the park, and we're going to have that usage at night, it's going to become, I think, more of an issue and something that gets brought up. But I just want to bring it up now where that lighting is bad.
Sure, absolutely.
Will the lights on the new courts, will those be on a timer or how are those operated?
It will be on a timer, and as a part of that entire sport court process, that was a city code change to parks are open till 10 PM, sport courts are only lit till 9 PM. And it is on a timer.
But there will be some ambient light, I imagine, that helps with some of that. Once those-
There is in the park, and obviously it meets all dark skies compliancy. Yeah, and the outdoor roller rink does not have sport court lighting on it. It just has pedestrian lighting pointed toward it.
Need a really bright headlamp. Very good.
Yeah.
And so, on to agenda items for next meeting.
So again, it will be with the Open Spaces Commission that here at the Aquaplex. That date will be Monday, September 22nd. Where our normally scheduled Parks and Recreation Commission meeting would have been September 15th, but we're going to join Open Spaces on September 22nd here in the room and do that combination meeting. The last time we met with them was in February. So I think, food content or possible agenda items, and I'll work with Robert Wallace. He's our open space supervisor and the liaison for that commission on what the agenda will resemble. I would assume the two commissions should talk about 5-year capital plans. And maybe some projects there'll be collaboration or some coordination efforts, or possibly even into that 6 to 10 year time frame. A capital plan is brand new for the open space section, which is an amazing feat that Rebecca steered and had completed for the organization. So it's new to them. But I do know we talked about that in February because it was the time for the two commissions to approve, if you will, those capital plans at that time. And that was the first one for Open Spaces Commission to approve. Other things that usually have a lot of coordination is the Foots Trail. It goes through both parks and open spaces. So there can be some discussion items on that if we want to suggest that. And honestly, anything else that we think would be valuable to discuss with the Open Spaces Commission.
And then there isn't going to be a meeting on the 15th.
Correct. So no meeting on September 15th, combination meeting on September 22nd.
Can we cancel just that one?
I think so. That would help clear up any confusion and make sure we send to this commission the one on the 22nd.
The invite for that, yeah.
Oh, I really want to apologize for the random email that I sent out. I was setting my own notification on my phone, and for some reason it sent an invite to everyone.
That's happened before.
Glad I'm not the first.
I sent an invite to people from like years ago. So like,
Yeah, that happened, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mark Cox was like, oh, this is random. Hey, how's it going? We should meet up. So.
Opportunity for reconnection. Yeah.
Not sure if like another good agenda item for next month with Open Spaces Commission would be the operating capital that both Parks and Recreation have. And so those are those smaller projects that each section is working on. We could have those items discussed since it's kind of still a brand new fiscal year. And plus then advises the Open Spaces Commission on what those two sections are working on. You could do that too.
I'm gonna say dealer's choice on this one, Amy.
Are you?
I'm just gonna say you
I know for space to talk about their current grant.
They will be, yes, yeah.
And I don't know if this would be a discussion to have at that time, but I would, like some paved trails for accessibility would be nice, because I think we maybe have one, and it's like that asphalt pave.
So the urban trail system is 59.5 miles in total, and about 24 of those miles are paved. Out of that, yeah, the rest are aggregate.
Also, the
Few that are paved.
Not accessible, but we can add that to a future agenda.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, and just kind of talk about the urban trail system in general, and yeah.
the re-asphalt on the part, like right out of downtown. Oh my God. Thank you.
We repaved Fort Valley. It was like a powder day. I wanted to go out there and ride it. Like, look at that fresh asphalt right there.
Yes, that, I know, it's awesome. Yes, so our engineering department has been 8.5 miles of the urban trail were asphalt, and they've been redoing it different levels, whether if it's a complete mill and overlay, similar to the Fort Valley and that small section off of downtown on Route 66.
Check that out because I
Some others.
received that and it was before it was paved, and I was like, shit.
Yeah.
So there's no big.
Yeah. So yeah, that project's been going, I believe they're almost complete on those 8.5 miles. Some of the treatments were like a crack seal repair and or chip seal. So it was a variety of them over the 8.5 miles. The other, so if you take 24 miles minus 8.5, those other mileage are concrete in our system. And then there's roughly 36 that are aggregate. We do with multimodal, we do have a really good inventory of what trails meet accessibility standards regarding the slope, including side slope. And then where also a lot of washout locations are that happen to occur with rainfall and snow melt. So we do have a lot of that tracked. I'll be the first person to say all 59.5 miles are not perfect. They're not. But the foots can be a good hour-long conversation, like what goes into the maintenance of it, where do we have it, what tools do we have, even for community to find out where the foots goes, all of that. That can be an awesome one. So yeah, we can always bring that forward in October for sure.
Actually, I think it's a great one with open space.
Yeah, because again, there's foots that goes through all three of our open spaces.
Make sure we get everyone the same information.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Well, they've been talking about linking up all the parks, and open space through.
Connectivity.
That'd be a good.
Cool.
Right.
All right.
We're getting close on time, so if no one opposed, we can adjourn this meeting. I want to thank all the new commissioners and existing commissioners for showing up. It's really helpful to have people show up, and to do it all in person is nice too. We have a much better discussion, so I appreciate all of that.
Yeah.
So thank you. And with that, we'll call it an adjournment at 5:52.
Thank you, everybody.
You know, Kyle.